It is lights out and away we go once again. Welcome, racers, to the Hard or Soft F1 podcast. I am your host, Adrian Huff, joined as always by my co-host, RJ McCullough. Now, typically I'll say, how are you doing, RJ? But right now, we're going to talk about how I'm doing. We're going to talk about how I'm doing because we were supposed to do a weigh-in check-in last week, but we forgot. So I'm going to just quickly run through that. So it's been like 2 months, would you say? Probably like episode 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, I think we did it like beginning of April. We were intending to do it like the first of every month or whatever the closest podcast that is, but we missed it we just forgot about it last week. So yeah, it's been about a month and a half or so. Yeah.
And we're still kind of talking the exact like challenge. I know we probably should have figured this out like at the start, but I'm about like 10-11 pounds down since the first weigh-in. So I would say I'm definitely way ahead of where I wanted to be. I would say within like 2 months, I wanted to be like 10 pounds down. It's been less than that. So yeah, we're going good, going strong. I've been taking some motivation from seeing all these damn drivers' workout routines, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and seeing the signs in the cool down room with no shirt on, just putting us all to shame.
Yeah, he was like, just don't film me. Just don't film me.
I know, he was pissed. I guess that drive took a lot out of them. So yeah, the goal was 50 pounds, right? And you're already 20% of the way there.
Yep.
Or a lot less than 20% of the way through the season. So you're definitely ahead. So yeah, keep that up. Good work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And as I said earlier, well, first of all, ask me how I'm doing.
How are you, RJ?
Thank you for asking, Adrian. I'd say I'm pretty good. The Leafs are tied 2-2 in their best of 7 series against Tampa.
Yep.
So that's going good. The games have been like very lopsided, each one pretty much. So it's been a roller coaster of emotions, but we'll know this week if we can end the era of just horrible first round losses. And then I guess, I've got a new Lewis Hamilton.
It's badass.
New Lewis Hamilton shirt. So still supporting the guy, obviously. Get pretty good. We'll get into it, obviously, but yeah, pretty good race. A couple not the best breaks, but hey, it is what it is. We'll get into that. So yeah, as I said earlier in our text thread, Max has been just sticking it right up my hoop all season. So I got a blue Red Bull just to rub it in a little more. This one's blueberry, so I don't know if it's gonna be better. It's gonna be worse. But here you go, Max. Congratulations.
Gosh, I tried the blue one years ago when I was hooked on energy drinks, and I don't remember liking it very much. So I hope it's not too much of a struggle. Nah. Oh no. And of course, if you're listening, Max won, so RJ had to do a punishment, and this is that punishment. And God, you killed it. God, it was like a beer.
I was actually pretty thirsty. I was kind of looking forward to that.
Oh, nice.
And it was the perfect temperature. So instant Red Bull review after I get through these burps. I'd say the blueberry, too sweet.
Yeah.
Red Bull in general is kind of sweet, but that mix of that like Red Bull flavor with the blueberry, not great. There was watermelon that I was thinking of grabbing, but that would probably be even sweeter. Yeah. And it was like pink-ish, so it didn't really suit the tone of the podcast.
Yeah.
Red Bull. Yeah. So
well, you killed that.
Let me get all these burps out. Pardon me for those watching and listening. I know that's not the best thing to have to see, but hey, that's what happens when you chug a highly carbonated beverage. So I also have to do the 1-minute race review this week, but before I do, there's where's she? Bogey. I have a guest that I want to invite on the show because she put in quite a performance this weekend.
She did. Welcome back, our third co-host, Bogey. She's a bit of a drama queen, so we gotta entice her to come on screen. There she is. Oh my goodness, look at her.
My girl. Hi everybody. Hey folks. So this little girl, she predicted. So I did a little challenge to have her predict how the race would go.
My French bulldog predicted the Miami GP podium.
Will it be? She's chosen. She has chosen. Max first.
Check out our podcast Hard or Soft F1 podcast on Spotify.
her 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
And she got it.
She did, dude.
Despite Max not being on pole, she picked Max Verstappen to win, and Charles comes second, and she got it. So,
dude, God, round of applause for Bogey, honestly.
what a good girl. Hey, thanks, folks.
Yes, we posted that. I posted it at the start of the race, and then I reposted it at the end of the race. She absolutely nailed it. Even though Max was starting in third, she predicted Max. You got a little Red Bull fan there, it seems like.
I know. I will say I didn't put Lewis as one of the options because I didn't want her to break my heart and not pick Lewis. But also, like, I'm gonna wait until, like, I tried to pick I picked 3. So one was Max, one was Charles, one was either Checo or Sainz, and then the fourth one was other. So I'm not gonna put Lewis on one of those slips until I feel he's like one of the top 4 chances of winning. So yeah.
Gosh, well, it was she is absolutely killed it, and hopefully we're gonna try to get her to do a prediction every single week. So we'll see if her correct streak continues. I'd say even if she gets one of the podiums right, that's still a win, honestly. Did she get all 3, or did she just get Max and Charles?
She got first, second, and fourth, so she didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was counting on Lewis to get that podium.
She was hoping someone would slide in there, but that's okay. So yeah, now it is time for my 1-minute race review. So let me just pull up my stopwatch here. That's not the stopwatch, that's the calculator.
Just click a number every time a second goes by.
This is just great podcasting. All right. So
let's do it.
Give me a little countdown.
All right. 1 minute Miami GP race recap in 3, 2, 1.
The inaugural Miami GP. So the Aston Martin start from the pit lane. Max gets past Sainz on turn 1, despite starting in third. He moves up to second. Lewis drops from 6th to 8th after a bad start. Quickly moves back up to 6th. Lap 9, Max makes a move on Charles, takes first place. Alonso then gets a 5-second penalty for hitting Gasly. Lap 41, Norris and Gasly crash. Safety car comes out. George Russell gets a bit of a break, having stayed out on the hards. The safety car comes out. He's able to pit from the hards to the mediums. Lap 47, Max and Charles battle. After the restart, Max stays ahead. Lap 50, Bottas goes off. The Mercs pass and go into 5th and 6th. Lap 52, Perez makes a move on Sainz, but fails. Then Mick Schumacher and Vettel crash, cost Mick his first points this season. Then George Russell passes Lewis for 5th. Max dominates the race. Charles finished 2nd. Sainz 3rd. That's your podium. Checo, George, Lewis. That's your top 6. All in all, for the first Miami Grand Prix, a great weekend.
Woo! Just like that.
Good for you.
Consolidated too. With some time to spare. My goodness. Yeah. You literally recapped all of the major events there, because it was just like reliving the race in 60 seconds. I like it.
I may or may not have done a few trial runs before to make sure I could get it all in.
I like it. So yeah, we're gonna run through the entire race this episode, all the recap, but we will be going over a couple of things that happened beforehand, because this was a monumental event. I mean, it seemed like the FIA, Formula One, Liberty Media, they were just like really giving it everything this weekend, just to try to, I mean, obviously Formula One's growing insanely quickly in America. So I'm sure they, saw this as like a crazy opportunity, because, CODA's been around a couple of years and this is the first Miami GP. And I mean, we saw like so many celebrities, so many like influencers. I hate that word, but they were there. They were calling themselves that. And we got some really interesting grid walk moments. There was just so much. So like, where do we even begin with like the pre-race antics?
Yeah, we have a few topics. I think, so I'd seen a lot on social media today. So before we get in depth, just real quick, I'd seen a lot of people saying it was a bad race. I personally didn't see it that way. We're like big fans, obviously, but did you? Because I think this might be the first time, and I don't know if we should pat ourselves on the back for this, but this might be the first time that we can say maybe newer F fans didn't appreciate it as much as an older F1 fan would, because all in all, that was a great race. And we've seen some races in the past that are not good at all. And that to me doesn't count as that at all.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on the money. There was a lot of hate for this race, I feel like, and I don't know, like I see most of like the opinions I see besides like ours and people in our circles are like Twitter and Reddit primarily, and it just seems like there's just like this automatic negativity towards United States races, and I get that. I mean, there was a lot to make fun of with like the fake water and the track literally having like last minute fixes done to it the morning of FP1. So there was a lot of like typical American bullshit, but I feel like people just like sold it too short too quickly. I don't know, especially like before the race. But now that we can look back, I I can say like unbiased as somebody. I mean, I live in Georgia, so I'm somewhat close to the Miami GP. It's the closest circuit to me for F1 that is. I think I honestly I was feeling a little down on the track a little bit during qualifying because qualifying just felt just a little bit slow to me. But the race was amazing. I thought like it was just action packed. I feel like even the drivers were like a lot of them were like, you know what, it's okay. It seems like there's going to be some good racing because I know there was a couple of drivers that were like, no, this track sucks. So what
Yeah,
do you think?
yeah, definitely before the race, there's a few comments. I think Lewis, Seb, a couple comments were made, but I don't know. I thought it was better than I expected it to be. Like a track that was literally like just put together, and with all the hype and everything, it kind of was setting up for it to be a total dud. I think to allude kind of to what I said a few minutes ago, like I think we were everyone was a bit spoiled by last year, thinking that every race is just going to be this like crazy, like intense, like head-to-head duel, and like we are getting that, but it's also like I don't know. I think the new cars this year, like a bad rate, even Monaco. I'm interested to see how that goes because there is a lot more ability to overtake and stuff. So I don't know. I liked it. Like, yeah, I'll admit the first after Max got into first place, from there to the safety car, like yeah, you can make the case it was a little bit boring, but I don't know. It was just really every lap there was danger afoot. So I don't know. I was intrigued the entire way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I sent you a video. Of course, the race happened on Mother's Day. So shout out to all the amazing moms out there, including my own. So I was spending a lot of time with my family, but of course, the race started. I was watching the first like 5 or 6 laps on my phone, and they were watching some movie, and like it ended, and they were like, "Hey, you can put that on the TV if you." And before they even finished the sentence, like the race was on, just like streamed it to the TV. It was like it was it was a lot of fun. So it was cool, like sort of very very briefly talking to my family about like the F1 race and like some of the rules, but of course, it was probably just to entertain me because they know how much I enjoy it. I don't know if they had any actual interest, but yeah, Mother's Day. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but
It was a scene, like the entire. We'll get into that too, but like,
yeah,
it was just a wild. Whether people like the race or not, like you can't. It's no debate. The entire week was a success in terms of like, it was just a wild scene from
yeah.
start to finish. So
I've seen. Sorry, I
but
didn't mean to. I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt you, but I've seen like some people saying that like apparently there was like some big potential sponsors there, and that they potentially didn't really like what they saw, and that it was like a total shit show. But I don't know about that. I mean, again, that all just seems like total like jargon to me, like complete bullshit, because they were saying that they were in like the VIP section, and it's like if the FIA is trying to schmooze some new sponsors, they're not sticking them in those metal chairs. They're not, because
yeah.
I know we saw some pictures where, because there was like general admission where there was no assigned seating, so there were people that were like stuck in the back with like the overhang, so they like saw this much of track where you could just see the cars. So that seems a little bit annoying. I will say, I think and they couldn't do this year, but if Formula One really wants to have a foothold in the United States and have longevity, they need to invest in a permanent track.
Mhm.
I like the layout. I thought it ended up having some good racing, but they're taking it all down right now. Like that track's not going to be there in a month. So are they going to build the exact same thing next year? It's just like we need that consistency, and it would put a lot of faith in like the future of F1 in America. I feel like if they committed to building a permanent track. I feel like that's my only takeaway from like the negative aspect of Miami.
Yeah, because I think they signed like a 10-year deal with Miami, and like obviously the interest from fans, new fans, celebrities, everything, it was insane. So there's obviously interest. They're obviously going to stay there. So I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with that as well. Because even if they do just do the same spot, I believe it's in like, I mean, the stadium's right there. I think it's just the parking lot basically and they built like they built it beautifully. Don't get me wrong, but it is like still a car park. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they do as well. I don't know that the main complaint, I guess, was from the drivers was the surface itself. But before the race, good little segue. Before the race, there were a couple other complaints. Do you want, because I can't be unbiased on this, do you want to walk through what happened with Lewis, and then on a little bit more humorous side, what happened with Sebastian Vettel?
Yeah, you talking about his shirt?
His
yes.
Yeah.
So the Lewis shit, we're obviously talking about the whole jewelry rule that they keep like enforcing. Listen, I think that is just like it's no news. Like I just feel like it's this thing. I don't know if it's the FIA. I don't know if it's news articles. Like I don't know who it is, but like, can we just drop it? Like nobody cares. Like if Lewis wants to keep all the jewelry on, that is I feel like that's his choice. Like I understand they're like, there's a safety issue, there's all this, there's all that, but I mean, him making that decision is not putting other people in harm's way. And there's, like you said a few episodes ago, he literally has piercings that cannot be removed. So it just seems like it just seems like they're picking on him almost, which is weird to say for like the F1 legend. So I don't know. I really hope we stop hearing about this shit, because I feel like it's unfair. I think it's totally pointless. I mean, I know you think like the same, but it's like like, let's end it. Like, enough.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think they said they're going to give him like that they would give him a 2-race exemption, and then they're going to start fining him like $265,000 a race or something like that. Like that's a lot of money, even though he obviously can afford that. That's still a lot of money. And I've heard someone make the point, like these drivers make a lot of, like, they assume a lot of risk. They know what they're getting into when they get into the car. So like to really crack down and be so serious about that, it's a little ridiculous. But kudos to Lewis and Seb, because Seb had Lewis's back and even said that it seems a little targeted at Lewis. And then they also are trying to really enforce this underwear that they want them to wear, but Seb didn't like that, so he came onto the grid with tight underwear over his race suit, which was hilarious. Lewis also went to this press conference with like 3 watches, like a million pieces of jewelry. So kudos to them for trolling the FIA a little bit. And like, not much they can do, but it's kind of good to see them trolling a little bit.
For sure. There was that really, like, if it was like those like cold moments you see online where like it was like that interview where they were asking him about the watches. They're like, is it all set to the same time? Or like the interviewer was being cheeky. He's like, no, it's different time zones. He's like, I get a lot of calls from a lot of places. And it was just like, there you go, Lewis. That's good.
Yeah. He had that all teed up.
And shout out to Seb too for having his back. Seb is like, he's turned into like, the fun uncle of F1, it feels like, because it just seems like he has nothing against any driver. And he's also using his platform pretty much exactly in the way Lewis does to bring attention to issues that he feel like need to be addressed, which do. So I loved Seb's whole theme for the Miami GP. I mean, they're on the beach, so like global warming's a huge issue. So I adore Sebastian Vettel. I every time I read something about him, it's just a big like wholesome moment, I think.
Yeah, I think they should make a sequel to Mr. Congeniality. Make Sebastian Vettel,
Mr. Congeniality. I like it.
That's right. So we also had some just incredible helmets this week. At least another thing that I was surprised to see, a little bit of like split decisions on between the fan base. But the 2 that come to mind for me that were my favorite were Lando's basketball helmet and Danny. So both the McLaren guys. Danny had the Ace Ventura inspired Miami looking helmet. Which one of those was your favorite? And are there any other that stood out to you?
Um, yeah, I think I definitely agree between the two McLaren boys that they had the coolest helmets. I Danny's is my favorite just because like the first of all the floral pattern was like just so cool, so sleek, and then the Daniel Ricciardo Ace Ventura badge they had on the back was so fucking great. Like best helmet by far. Besides the McLaren boys, I thought Max's helmet was just fucking sick. We were talking about that earlier, but I know we've both seen, a couple of opinions that Lando's helmet is either like the coolest thing ever or it's like lame, but I think it's awesome. It's like it literally looks like exactly like a basketball, and it makes total sense for Miami. I know he was doing it for like Miami Heat, so I thought it was really, really, really cool. I like when helmets sort of, or the designers sort of like take a different like route, because I mean I don't know, I've never seen a basketball helmet before, so I thought it was sick. And you made a really funny joke about the porpoising.
Yeah.
It was going to look like he was bouncing on the court, so that was really, really funny. But I thought that this was like definitely the best weekend so far for helmet designs, like for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Those are sweet. What was I gonna say about Lando's was really cool. Like when they did the overhead looks and you just see like a basketball helmet.
Yeah.
The only time that I thought it looked a bit silly, and this is just situational, was after he got in the crash and he was walking back to his car on the pit lane. It just looked a little weird. Like when he's walking, like when he's in the car, it looks cool. Mm-hmm. Walking outside of the car with it on, it did look a little just strange, but that was just a situational thing.
Yeah, it does. From far away, it does look like he just has a basketball for a head.
Yeah, or like a pumpkin on his head or something.
Yeah, it's like some fucking like Fortnite character or some bullshit that you would see. But besides those two guys, did you have any other helmets that like stood out to you?
I definitely liked Max's. And then I didn't necessarily love the designs on this one, but I like the idea of Bottas, I believe it was, who had, I think it was his wife, because for Mother's Day, I think she designed like 3 different helmets that he wore on each day. Yeah. So I saw a couple of people like ripping on the helmets, like, oh, what did some little kid draw that? It turned out it was his wife, but nobody knew at first, and then turned out it was his wife, and everyone was like, oh shit, sorry.
Damn, that's rough.
Yeah, I wasn't one of those people, just saying. But yeah, it was interesting. So I think we already gave our thoughts on the track in general, so we don't really need to go too much more to that. But I do want to get into the Martin Brundle grid walk.
Who else can we find on this grid? I'm able to find anybody. Right, Patrick Mahomes on the grid, who's a bit of a sporting legend. Where is this guy? There's a really tall guy there. That must be him. Is that in a Balenciaga top? Patrick, Martin Brundle, Formula One television in England. I don't think you can hear me up there. Patrick, how are you? Good to see you on the grid here. What do you think of this atmosphere?
This is crazy. I've never been to an F1 race. This is spectacular. They locked in. It reminds me of myself.
It's not Patrick. That's why he ignored me in the beginning. But what is your name, sir?
Paulo Banchero.
Right. Okay. Well, I thought I was talking to somebody else. Whatever.
She's like, oh, you're not who I thought you were. I'm asking questions to the wrong person, and he just kind of walks away.
Dude, like, I don't know. I forget. I guess it was it Coda last year where we got the Megan Thee Stallion moment.
Yeah.
Because just typical America, bro. I mean, like I say that as an American, it makes for hilarious content. Like seeing him like just run around, and you're right. It is a zoo. Like you can't walk. And this is not just America. This is just my opinion. Celebrities, bystanders, special guests should not be allowed on the fucking grid right before the race. I understand that there's guests from the teams that they're getting a look around. Celebrities always get special treatment. It's just fucking stupid. If I was in the car and I looked over and I'm like, oh shit, there's Dua Lipa just right over there. Like I'd be like, what the fuck is this bitch doing on the grid? Like, I get that that's like the standard. That's how they do it, but it's just so fucking stupid to me. I will die on that hill. It is only there just to pamper the celebrities and for people before the race to be like, ooh, look, it's Will Smith. Of course, Will Smith was not there. He was out.
Imagine.
Yeah, he was at home slapping his wife. But Actually divorcing his wife, I think, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way. I just think it's asinine to have all those people on the grid literally minutes before these cars take off.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one thing to have like Mario Andretti and like Enzo Fittipaldi, like those guys, absolutely 100%.
Yes.
But the amount of celebrities, like it's a little ridiculous. And not to mention, like you can see it in the quick interview we had with Pharrell. Like these guys and girls have been drinking and doing God knows what else for hours in the sun. They are lit. So asking them questions, like it sometimes can be funny, but I'm also always kind of sitting there like a little bit like it's a little bit cringy because you're like, I don't know what's going to come out of this person's mouth.
Yep.
And then like he kept saying like, I don't see any drivers on the grid. Where are the drivers? Well, no wonder, like you said, no chance. They have to get so focused. This is minutes before the race, and there's just everyone going around, walking around the cars. Like, no wonder. And then, of course, the only person that was on the grid, Lance Stroll. He was standing there on the grid, and he did a quick interview. And, all right, gotta go now.
I gotta go back to the pit.
Yeah, all right, guys.
Oh my God. Yeah, we'll get into Aston Martin's blunders for this GP, but yeah, we don't have to like keep harping on it, but it is cringe. It is so cringe. And what happens when some TikToker goes up and fucking starts shaking fucking Verstappen's halo or something like that? Like, even if it doesn't do anything to the car, you're gonna fine Seb for touching the rear wing, or Max, or whoever. Like, it's so cringe and asinine. Like, I know that they're not going to completely do away with that, but like there should be a limit to the amount of guests and people that are on the grid, and they all need to know who Brundle are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. None of them know.
When that short British guy comes up to you and is asking you questions, you better answer them. Do not disrespect the GOAT. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Like, just it fills me with rage seeing all these privileged pieces of shit that like don't actually care about the racing. They're all there for photo ops and to see Lewis Hamilton, which I don't blame them, but like it just that is like my least favorite part about the sport, is the glorification of these famous people. Like, just fuck off.
It's like they're all just there for clout, and I'm always like, the cars are literally right there, like you said, a TikToker or whatever. Maybe they're like, say Will Smith was there and there's all those people and someone gets knocked over and like falls into the car, and it's like there's so many chances for something to go wrong. It's like the risks far outweigh the rewards. I know we're maybe being a little bit like sensitive about this, but it is like just kind of ridiculous. Sometimes it's cool when it's like Massa and Fittipaldi and guys like that, but when it's got to the level it was this weekend, I don't know if they'll let that happen again. But anything else on that, or should we get into the race details?
No, we can move on to the race from there. I've got all my rage out.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that happened, the Aston Martins had a decent qualifying, but then they had an issue with their oil fluid or gas, or whatever the term is for it. It was too cold, which I'd never heard of before. They stored it because it's so hot outside, whatever the case may be. So they had to start from the pit lane, and actually had decent results before Vettel crashed out. But what did you think about that?
I didn't fully understand like why they had to do that. I know like the only thing that Crofty said, I believe, was just that they had to literally take the fuel out and then put it back in. It's just so strange, and it's like, why are they? It seems like, I mean, obviously they have lots of issues, but it's like the fuel, like that's the second time now that it's screwed them over. I mean, and it cost them a second place last year. So it's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, simple. Like, it seems like something that like literally every team to do that. So when it's one of those errors, like that's just got to be so infuriating for the drivers. And then the race starts. We had the two Ferraris, 1-2, and then the two Red Bulls. Max, an incredible start, gets past Sainz, like kind of goes. It was a really like amazing maneuver. Like he to do that risky of him, not really risky, but like to chance that on lap 1, turn 1, and pull it off like very cleanly. Like that's Max, like that was unbelievable. You must have been on the edge of your seat as the race started.
Yes, it felt like my heart stopped. It was definitely a ballsy move. And at first I was like, oh shit, did he push Signs too wide? But like Signs took a really like hard inside route. And I think, Max just obviously went on the outside and capitalized on it. Cause I mean, it caused Carlos to just somewhat run off and hit the curb. So he loves, I mean, he's first of all like an amazing at race starts, but he sends it. And he just, I mean, it's for the most part paid off for him. Like it just reminds me of Mexico of last year. Like he loves sending it at the start. Like he's like, if I don't gain a position at the start of this race, then it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then on my side of things, a bit of the opposite start. Lewis started in 6th and then dropped to 8th like right away. Kind of had a bit of a lockup, and then Alonso hit him from behind. Not Alonso's fault. Hit him from behind a little bit. Lewis thought he had damage, and I was not happy at this moment. I posted like my race start reaction video, and I should have really been reacting to what was going on at the front of the grid with Max passing. But I wasn't paying any attention. I was just like, no, what is Lewis doing? He's dropping. And they saw like the smoke come up from his tire. I'm like, oh no, is he done? Like, what is going on? That would have just been, the comments would have been, ugh. So yeah, he pulled it back together, got back to 6th pretty quickly, and then ended up having a decent race. We'll wrestle later. But yeah, what were you thinking about, obviously, once you got over Max being 2nd? What did you think when they were like, Lewis Hamilton's dropped his 8th?
Yeah, it was like Max's past Signs, he's up into 2nd. I was like, oh shit. And then I looked and Lewis dropped back. I was like, oh damn. And didn't George also lose a place?
Yeah, they both dropped off the start. So I don't know, car issue, I don't know.
Yeah, I texted you. I just said disaster for Mercedes, but we'll get to this. But like they turned that shit around. Like props to Mercedes. Like wow. But it was just. I felt for Lewis because I was like, man, like I can't imagine he has pressure, but like this is probably the weekend that he wants to like get at least a decent result.
Yeah, and then after like seeing what happened in Imola where he just couldn't get past anyone, that was my fears. Like, are they just gonna? I mean, they obviously had it was kind of similar also in that they had one good, amazing practice session, and then the rest they weren't really up there. So it was like, what is the real pace? I don't know right now. So it was definitely some scary moments, but thankfully because there were a few moments also this weekend that they just didn't show Lewis. They showed him a lot during the race, but I was happy they showed his overtake on, it was Gasly and Alonso. So then lap 9 though, Max again, and they were like talking about something completely different and like didn't matter at all. And I think one of the announcers, I forget which one it was like, well, I gotta chime in here. Verstappen goes for the move.
Yep. I think it was Crofty because they were literally talking. I think they were talking about like some midfielders, and they're like 2 seconds. Max is overtaking Charles Leclerc. It's like
the most dramatic moment of the race, pretty much at that point, at least.
Yeah, we've complained about the broadcast before, but when the two racers at the front of the fucking race are battling, stop showing me replays of the midfielders or even replays of the front runners. Like, show me the battle that's happening right now. It is like so infuriating when you're literally seeing like Charles approaching Max, the gap is winding down, and it's like, let's watch this replay of Pierre Gasly and Fernando Alonso. It's like you're sitting there like, what? No, like that's it's like such a good reason to get F1 TV, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very frustrating. Yeah, and even on F1 TV, like they still, like you have the option to move around, but you don't want to in the moment. It's frustrating. But yeah, like I watch I like AirPlay my phone to my TV, so I have F1 TV going. I'm staying at my mom's place, hence the different background while she's on vacation. So I was watching on like actual TV, and the commercials just kill me because there's a few moments. There was one where Lewis was starting to rock up on the back of Bottas, and like I've been waiting for this moment for like 10 laps, counting down the time intervals, and then they go to commercial, and I'm freaking out, like just standing, like I mentioned a bunch of episodes ago, like standing watching that little tiny box, and then very, very frustrating.
God, yeah. Even when I watched on ESPN, like they don't broadcast any commercials during the race. They do during quali and practice, but that's like I think that's like a big pro to ESPN. Like, you're going to get the broadcast issues, but there's no commercials during the race. So that's great. But Yeah, when Lewis was approaching Bottas, I just was texting you like, "Oh shit, here we go."
Yeah,
Old teammates.
The whole time it was cool. It must have been a cool weekend for Valtteri in general, just like qualifying ahead of them, and then like being ahead of them most of the race, and just the fact that he's competitive with Mercedes still is very cool. It must be awesome for him, and he's like proved a lot of the doubters wrong. Like I was texting you this weekend, like I have to be honest, I kind of miss having Bottas as Lewis's teammate.
Yeah,
I like George, but as you can see, it's eventually that's something that could come to a head as well. Like if George keeps outperforming Lewis.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, he's the only person that's had only top 5 finishes so far. So I mean, it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
And then Max just pulls away. Like it was incredible. He was on another level, just pulls away. I think he had like a 7-second gap.
Yeah.
And lap 41, I think it was, Norris and Gasly crashed. I don't know. I saw both of their takes on it. Like it looked from the onboard camera that they showed that it was kind of Pierre's fault because he went off track and then kind of came back on, slowed down to let guys pass. But then Lando went to pass, and they're like with the open wheels, their kind of wheels like interlocked.
Yeah.
And then like no real damage to them was done, but it looked for a second like it was bad because Lando's cars flipped around, swirled around. But yeah, that was just through everything into it. Went from like, okay, this is maybe a little bit dull to whoa, everything just turned on its head.
I scared the shit out of my family. Like I literally, like I was in mid sentence, like telling them about something, and I just screamed, "Holy shit!" Oh, and like you just see Lando spinning out. And that was their favorite part. Everybody was like, "Oh shit!" Like, you know, of course, that's the only reason my family would watch NASCAR when I was a kid. Like, let's see a crash, you know, like. Yeah. But gosh, that's like the third time Lando's like spun out like that. Like, God, I feel bad for him. I also watched both onboards. I wouldn't say it's like all on Gasly, but when you cook it too hard and you go off track, like you've got to be super, super self-aware when you come back on track. And yeah, I mean, Lando had the move, like he had total right to do that move. It was just racing incident mixed with just a bit of like some bad self-awareness, I feel like.
Yeah. So with that, obviously the safety car came out, and George Russell gets a big break because and like credit to him, he even said himself, it made him look like a genius because like, I don't know, like 10, 15 laps earlier, he came on the radio like, hey guys, let's just stay out. The hards are performing pretty good. Let's just stay out and hope there's a safety car. Yep. And then just as the tires are starting to dwindle, the safety car comes out. So instead of going pretty much, he would have been a battle for 9th or 10th. He stays 7th, gets the mediums, and eventually is able to finish 5th. But then on the opposite end of it, Max's big lead, like, okay, this is Max's race, dwindles to, oh, this is a battle now. Yeah, it was kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. But then Max and Charles had another incredible battle right after the restart, which is just so cool to see. Were you like kind of pissed in that moment because Max's win was kind of in doubt for a second there, or were you kind of like, whatever, this is some crazy shit, this is exciting?
Yeah, I was not like pissed. The only time I'll be like pissed, like even if Charles was to pass Max, like I wouldn't be angry, even though I want Max to win. Like unless Red Bull gets like a reliability DNF or a crash or something like that. Like I honestly, I was like, all right, well, let's see if Charles can, you know, pull it off. I mean, he's got his shot back. Like when I'm playing F1 2021, like if I'm in like 4th, I'm like, let's get a safety car. Come on, I can get into the podium. So I was also just excited that we were going to get some amazing battles, because after that safety car, it was nonstop. Like the broadcast did not know who to show. Like it was just super, super hard battles. And I have to say, like, huge props to George. Like that was just, I mean, yeah, it was a bit of luck, but I mean, God, like the strategy just worked so well. But why? I know they pit him a little bit early, but like, why Lewis on the hards? Like Lewis even notes later in the race that the strategy screwed him over. Like, I guess it was because they pit early, but I don't know. It just seemed a little bit strange because even he was not happy about it.
Yeah, I have some comments I want to make on that whole strategy thing in a little bit, but
cool.
It was just sort of, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of gotten a bit of, not necessarily bad luck, just like it hasn't really broken his way. Like it wasn't necessarily, I don't think, the wrong choice in tires and strategy
Mhm.
necessarily. It's just like the way it happened with the safety car. Like if it wasn't for the
Yeah.
safety car, he would have been 5th and Russell probably would have been like 9th. So, I mean, it just kind of happened to work out that way, I think, unfortunately.
Sure.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it seems like Lewis has just like, I feel like since Abu Dhabi, like he's just had really, really shit luck. Like regardless of how skillful you are, like he's gotten screwed by the safety car 2 times. He's gotten caught in the DRS train. Like I just feel for the guy because I mean, there's just there's certain hindrances that just are out of his control. So, and I felt that even so, like this week, like if Lewis had waited, maybe they could have both pit and capitalized on the safety car. Like I don't know. We'll get into your thoughts about that, but I just feel for him because his luck has just been dog shit.
Yeah, it's definitely been a tough start to the season, but lots of races left. But I got to keep telling myself. But we talked about Bottas being right up there. He was ahead of the 2 Mercedes, and then after the restart, Lewis and Russell were like rocking right up on the back of him, and he kind of slid off track a little bit, and Mercedes both went by.
Yep.
And then obviously George, with the fresher tires, was able to pass Lewis. The first time he passed him is, I guess, deemed like a bit of an illegal overtake, so he did have to give the position back, but he reclaimed it and took 5th. Lewis took 6th, which it's only a 2-point difference, but it's just on one hand, it's like the morale for Lewis must suck, but also I'm happy that George was able to keep his streak alive. But then I don't really have too much more to add on that. But then lap 52, this was another interesting moment. So earlier in the race, Perez was having issues with his power, but it seemed to not be too much of a problem. And then lap 52, he tried to make a move on Sainz to get up into 3rd, and I guess he went too deep and then ran wide. Sainz kind of played it well, just kind of let him do his thing. But that move failed, so then he was just kind of stuck back and forth. What did you think of Perez making the move at that part of the track, that moment?
It could have worked out for him. Sainz pulled a little bit of a Leclerc, and he had some really good defensive knowledge. He stayed to the inside and sort of let Perez flip around, and he was late on the brakes, and like you see it, like it Sainz, like they almost break at the same point, but like Sainz anticipated it and Perez sort of locked up, but Sainz just takes off. I feel props to Perez for even being in a position to like overtake him, but it was a little disappointing. I think I was just worried that he was going to DNF because I mean on like lap 20 he was like, I'm losing power on the straights, I'm losing power. So gosh, I thought it was a really, really amazing defensive move by Sainz though. He came back like so well during the race. Like even I'm sure he was disappointed with P3, but like a podium after his like really terrible luck streak was just, I feel like it was a win for Ferrari.
Yeah, I was really happy for Carlos. He was not happy after the race for a variety of reasons, I guess, but just happy to see him get back up on the podium. That just reminds me, we forgot to go through our harder soft league standings stuff. We'll have to do that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was happy for Carlos to get up there and have a good race where there was just no incidents.
Another incident. Before we sort of talk about the final crash and the end of the race, one thing that I was super shocked about was just once Max originally overtook Charles, like how quickly he was able to build the gap and get away. Because from what we've seen so far, Ferrari's power unit has just been like unbeatable. Like I know Red Bull has some advantages in the corners, but like Charles could not catch him without the safety car. It was just like such a huge difference. It's like, what is Red Bull doing? Like, I know we were talking about an article we read where some of the team principals were like, we need to maybe check on Ferrari, like see like what they're doing, like to make this power unit so powerful. But I mean, Red Bull is on top of it. Like they have no room to talk because if anything, we need to look into Red Bull. Like how the hell are they so much faster than the Ferrari? Like even as a fan, I was just like, how is he so far ahead? Like it was just mind boggling.
Yeah, it was sort of strange because like, as you said, Red Bull's thing has been this year was like that they excel with downforce, where Ferrari had the speed, where then even Christian Horner said it a couple times on the broadcast that like they just had a difference in philosophy this week where Red Bull went for straight line speed and Ferrari chose downforce. So it was just sort of like, I don't know, perplexing to me. Like, why did Ferrari do that? How did Red Bull just pick up all this speed out of nowhere? Like, I know they're always bringing upgrades and stuff, but yeah, it was sort of interesting that Ferrari seemed to drop a bit back, at least at the very top of the pecking order.
Yeah, it was crazy, just shocking, I would say.
Yeah, like disappointing from my end. I would like to see Charles at least be battling more. So, I mean, Andy had said last week that Spain is where teams usually bring big upgrades. So that's next. So I don't know. I think things could maybe have a little shakeup. But I think the saddest moment of the race for most fans was Mick Schumacher. He was just cruising along, going to get his first points in F1 after a year and a bit. And he had that unfortunate crash with Seb. I think those two are obviously friends because they're both German, and it was just sad to see. It was kind of a cool looking crash and no one was hurt, but yeah, it was just sad.
Yeah, seeing Seb's car pop up, I was just like, ooh, like it was just kind of like a cool, God, it just seems like an oxymoron to say, but it was cool. And Mick's reaction was kind of interesting. He was like, yeah, his fault. I was like, okay, all right, throw some shade at Papa Seb. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they hopped out of the car and were just like, hey, sorry about that, you know?
No, yeah, I think they probably worked it out in the end. Yeah, from there, Max kind of just pulled away, and then the top 10 were Max, Charles, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Hamilton, Bottas, Ocon, Albon, and Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll gets a point.
Yes,
kind of due to Alonso originally had that, and then he got a 5-second penalty. So
yep, I was gonna say because Albon actually was able to get 2 points thanks to that penalty. Yeah, which was just brings Williams up to 3. That's crazy.
I know they're slowly inching up there, halfway to ninth.
Yeah, I will say. Sorry. No, okay. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I apologize.
That's the issue with Zoom, right? Like, you gotta talk over each other.
Just you rattled through the top 10. Just the 3 things that shocked me the most was Ocon going from P20 to P8.
Yes.
Amazing. I was talking mad shit about Ocon, but got to give that man props. That was amazing. 2, Albon getting points. Amazing. 3, Latifi did not cause a red flag. Just milestones. We're making progress.
Good Canadian boy.
Yeah, exactly. So,
although I was saving this for a little bit later, but Latifi's still 21st in the standings.
Oh my God.
I was hoping, because he got 14th. I was hoping, hey, maybe that moves him past Nico Hulkenberg, but
oh my God, 21st. That's humiliating. So sorry, continue.
Oh no, I'm just gonna get to my couple Lewis thoughts here. So first, we talked about the pits a little bit, but it was really weird. It was during the safety car, just after the safety car, he was coming around doing his laps, making up some ground on the guys ahead, and then they came on the radio and said, like, Lewis, do you want to switch your tires? And he's like, well, what? And they're like, well, do you want to change strategy? He's like, we have to do it now or not do it. And he's like, well, that's up to you. Like, you guys tell me. I'm driving the car. And so they just said, oh, just stay out. That to me was very weird. Like, I've never heard, like, obviously sometimes they'll ask, like, are the tires? How do the tires feel? Blah, blah, blah. But just to be like, Lewis, we need to know right now, like, do you want to change to softs or do you want to stay out there? It's like, I don't know. He talked about it in his post afterwards. Like,
could you have got any further up if you pitted under the virtual safety car or the safety car, do you think? We heard you on the radio discussing it with the team, but do you think you could have got any further up if you had?
Honestly, I really don't know. In that scenario, I have no clue where everyone is. And so when the team say it's your choice, I'm like, I don't have the information to make the decision. So that's what your job is, like, make the decision for me. You got all the details, I don't. So that's what you rely on the guys for. But today they gave it to me, and I didn't understand it. But anyways, just a bit unfortunate on the safety car. But as I said, at least we got points today. We're finishing. Reliability is good. We just have to keep trying to, I'm excited to at some stage take a step forwards, which we haven't yet.
They have all the information. I'm driving the car. Like, I have a million things to worry about. It's like, that's their job. So it was very strange. What did you think about that?
Yeah, like you said, just sort of strange. I feel like Mercedes, like, not that they, I mean, God, they're like, 8 championships in a row, so I'm not going to like try to slight them, but it does seem like just every now and then, like they just get frazzled and they just don't 100% know what to do. They're just like, let's ask Lewis, just ask what he wants to do. But it's like, he doesn't know, like he's like, when I pit, where am I going to come out? How many places am I going to lose? You know, he doesn't know that information. So it's just bizarre. It's like, maybe if they had been like, hey, how do the tires feel? Do you want to switch? Because if you want to switch, we need to do it now. But it was just a question of like, hey, what do you want to do? Tell us. We don't know anything.
Yeah. Like if they would have been like, if you stay out, like you're probably going to finish 6th or 7th, or maybe between 5th and 7th. If you come in, you'll come back out in 9th, but you could potentially finish, I don't know, whatever. Like they at least give him the options, like here's what's going to happen, instead of just throwing it right on him. And then the other thing I want to say about Lewis, like again, it's hard for me to be unbiased, but he's had like a couple just not horrible breaks, some of it maybe his fault, some of it his team's fault, but things just haven't really gone his way. The car seems to be getting a little bit of pace. I'd say it's definitely the 3rd best car on the grid now, which couldn't really say before with McLaren and a couple other cars popping up. So even Alpine has shown some pace at points. So like where do you see, from the Red Bull fans perspective, but also just like a fair and balanced good guy, like what do you think so far of Lewis this season? And then where do you see like the rest of it? Like, do you think it's just going to be like this? I mean, he's 6th in the standings. Do you think that's about as high as he's going to get, or do you think there is the chance that he'll pick it up and his luck will turn and his performance will get better?
Yeah, I definitely think he'll get some better results. Like I said earlier, his luck has just been not on his side at all. If anything, he's got bad luck. Definitely Mercedes definitely has the 3rd best car now. George has got to also play some mental games, because I mean, I'm not saying George is a better driver than Lewis by any means, but no matter how many times you've won, how many championships you have, you know, when your teammate almost has, I mean, gosh, how many points ahead is
59 to 36? So is that 23?
Yeah, Lewis has got 36 points. You know, he's only 1 point ahead of Lando. Like, and George is with the 59. It's just that can't be good on the mental strength, I guess. But I think Mercedes has the potential to like really turn things around. It does seem like they're slowly improving, but I don't think Lewis has a shot at, sorry, my light is screwing up, but I don't think Lewis has a shot at the championship this year, which is sad to say. Yeah. But, you know, does Mercedes have a chance at the constructors this year? That's also a big if. They need some like major overhauls. But if they come into Spain with like new floor upgrades, you know, like completely overhauled car, and they're seeing a little bit more pace than they're already seeing, then yeah, it's totally possible. But is it likely? I don't think so. It's just sort of a we'll wait and see. But like the time is dwindling, and I know Toto mentioned that he said that, you know, there's not going to be a magical upgrade that just fixes the car. It's going to be a lot of slow, minor improvements over the weeks. So I don't know. I think it's super unlikely that they have a chance at like the top, but can they improve upon how they're already doing? Absolutely. Like for sure, especially Lewis. Like George just needs to maintain, Lewis just needs to improve. Totally possible.
Yeah, I think Lewis himself has said, and this is kind of a classic Lewis thing to say, but that he doesn't believe he has any chance at the drivers. Like he's already out of that, which at this point I do tend to agree. You never know. Like you never know, they could come out at some point and just, they have won 8 in a row. Like there is a reason they're the number one. They've been the number one team. But there's also a reason that they're kind of struggling so far. Like we've talked about it before. What happens when you come first and second? Like you just have less chances, but Red Bull has nailed it. So it's no excuse, but I mean, they're 62 points back in the constructors. Like that's not that big of a gap. It's just, the problem is obviously every time Mercedes gets a little bit better, Red Bull and Ferrari are also going to get a little bit better too. So it's hard to kind of bridge that gap. But that brings me to my next point is George Russell's in 4th, only 7 points back of Sergio Perez. Like he's ahead of Sainz, he's ahead of Lewis, he's ahead of Lando. Like he's got only got outside of top 5 in every race. How impressive is this? Like if this was I don't even know how to put it into context, but like this is what he's doing almost as impressive as Max and Charles at the top, given how he's not in as a competitive car right now.
I can't, like, if, like, what if, like, I'm just picturing, like, what if Mercedes had a car that was just as competitive as their car last year? Like, we would be seeing a Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen 3-way battle, which would have been really cool to see. And there's no doubt we will see something similar to that, at least in the coming seasons. But it's kind of a 2-way streak, like, again, I'm super unbiased. I have nothing against Mercedes. I would have liked to see that, but the fact that he's been able to get these results is just impeccable. Like, the odds were stacked against him. I mean, he's, the newcomer going up against a 7-time world champion, an 8-time constructors champion, joining this like huge team with an amazing pedigree. He's like champion. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's right. But the odds were just like super, super against him. So he is just, I would say that he is definitely been the most consistent driver. And yeah, he had a little luck this weekend, but I mean, luck is a part of all sports. It's a part of Formula One, especially. So like huge props to George. Cause if he was, struggling, then Mercedes would be, down with Alfa Romeo potentially.
Yeah. Like if you were to do a power ranking of the drivers so far this year, just on like who's gotten the most out of their car, it would be hard not to put him almost hard ahead of Charles. Like, it's hard not to say Max, but I might even put him ahead of Charles in terms of getting more out of it, because the Ferrari up until now has been the best car. And
for sure,
yeah, Charles, that's not to downplay Charles. Like, he has been amazing, but like George has definitely outperformed. So, but back to Max and Charles. Max is catching up. He's 19 points back now. He's really trimmed that gap quickly. I mean, it's going to be hard for you to give an unbiased answer, but I think you're pretty good at those. Do you think Max is the favorite now to win the championship?
God, that's really hard to say. I think Red Bull is looking good if they can keep those reliability issues in check. It's going to be tight. As trying to be as unbiased as possible, it does seem that Red Bull is like gaining that momentum. But at the same time, Ferrari, Christian said it themselves that they seem to go for more of like a downforce geared setup this month or this week, and that they've even alluded to the fact that they're not even like their power unit is not turned up all the way, like that there's more speed to unlock. So Spain, we could see like a rocket ship, like Ferrari 1-2. So that's possible, but I will say after Miami, just based on the results of Miami, I feel like Max has really upped his chances to catching Charles and potentially winning another world championship. It's going to come down, honestly, to the secondary drivers. Will Sainz be able to continue, or sorry, not continue, but he's finally broken his bad luck streak. Can he keep that going? Will he continue to be getting podiums and getting good results? Because even though Checo got 4th this week, he has still been almost just as consistent, besides the DNFs. Like, he is a great second driver. So it's going to come down to those guys, I think. So we'll see what sort of upgrades and sort of power units they can unlock in Spain. But I feel like once we see Spain and we'll see the results of that, then we'll sort of get maybe a better idea of like how close this fight is going to be.
Yeah, because I think Monaco's after Spain. And then a quick note on Spain, I think they changed, could be wrong on this, I think they changed that awful last turn, which is one of the least favorite turns in the entire game.
Oh yeah, it's like that really long wide turn. Yeah,
kind of like it goes, I don't know how to explain it on here, but it's just like a tight little kind of a round, but yeah, it becomes like a long, I don't know, I'm awful at explaining things like this, but yeah, just to finish up the point on, like, Red Bull is only 6 points back of Ferrari in the constructors. I do think that Sainz would be like my choice to finish 3rd. So then it's just going to be how much the gap is between those two, and then who comes 1st and 2nd. And like, yeah, I honestly don't know if I were to put a bet right now on who were to win the drivers' championship. I don't know if I would pick Max or Charles. Like I'd probably lean towards Max right now, to be honest with you. Like he has that killer instinct. He's done before, like just last year, obviously, but Charles hasn't. Like we saw the mental havoc it wreaks last year when you're in a tight battle near the end of the season. Like having that advantage as the further season goes is going to be a pretty good advantage for Max to lean on over Charles. So I don't know. That's something to watch, obviously. But after the race, we had the longest gap between the race and a podium ceremony that I've ever seen in my life. There was a police escort. They came out with NFL helmets that were just black and yellow, like the Pirelli's colors, but that's the Pittsburgh Steelers colors. And they're in Miami.
I know.
They had Dan Marino there. That
was cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. I mean, they have a statue right there and everything. And then obviously with like the Danny Ace Ventura tie-in, like laces out. They said that on this, so that was funny. But yeah, like, did you think that whole the police escort and then like the confetti getting all over them and just do you think it was a little bit much, or do you think it was perfectly Miami?
It seemed perfectly Miami, but at the same time, I think the parade escort was a little much, just a little too much. Like it was just because it was just a little weird just seeing Carlos and Charles just chilling, like waiting like 5 minutes for Max to get there. And to sort of add on to what you said earlier, you talked about how doing a long heated battle like this over the season can wear you down. We talked with Andy that, Charles and Max are they're buds, they're buddy. I feel like we saw that break a little bit. Not that there was like uncomfortable moments, but there was tension for sure. Like it was not as friendly as, like the couple like first results, where they're like, hey, nice job, man. You could tell Charles was just like fucking like, that should have been me. You can see the tension forming. So God, it could be like even more intense than last year. So just like getting a little taste of that was just like, ooh. But yeah, the cool down room was, I love the cool down room. That was amazing. But I think the parade was a little much, but the cool down room was just amazing.
I don't know. I feel like F1 and the drivers are going to hate the way the cool down room went this week.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of sloppy and there was like some swearing, which no one really cares about. And Carlos was pissed off and we didn't really get to hear too much, but it's just, I don't know. I just love the whole aspect of it is really cool. Just everything. I don't know. Miami they seem to do it. They seem to do it right. It is very Miami. I liked it. Yeah, it was a little much, but I don't know. And it's the first of 10, maybe a little more years. So it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me one bit.
Yeah, it was fashionably American, but just a touch too much. And I the whole time it was happening, I was just like, I can't imagine like the shit talking that's happening right now with like the European viewers. Like Jesus Christ.
I know those football helmets look ridiculous. What was the point of that?
They looked so stupid on the podium. So stupid.
Yeah, that's jokes. All right, so now it's time for the couple of little segments. We got the hard and soft drivers for the Miami Grand Prix. So
Grand Prix. As they say in the United States, the Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix. Okay, so I'll go first. My my hard driver / strategy move of the day, whatever, would be George Russell. Like I think a bit lucky, but having the foresight to stay out there and just the fact that it worked and he kept his 5th or better streak alive. I think just an awesome race for him. And then my soft, I don't think he had a bad race by any means, but I think Sainz not pitting during the safety car to get on softs and try to get to move up. He could have potentially gone second. I know it's his teammate, but that's the game, right? Like he needs to kind of start proving that he can compete with Charles. So not a huge error by any means, but I just would have liked to see a bit more of a battle. I know they're a little bit gun shy because of what happened at Imola with Charles. Maybe they just thought, hey, let's just take the points, just take second and third. We're going to get second and third either way. Let's not mess up the order. But I think for Sainz on Sainz's behalf, he's got to just start fighting a little more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like he definitely showed a lot more improvement, after his mistakes the last couple of weeks. But even after his, success, he's still not driving like a world champion. He's driving like one of the better drivers on the grid, but not enough to potentially fight for a world championship. I mean, he barely was able to best Perez, and Perez was having power issues the whole time. So he's not getting my soft this week, but I completely agree with your review.
All right, let's hear your hard soft.
My hard award also goes to George Russell. Absolutely amazing drive. The safety car god. He just a mix of luck mixed with just amazing driving. I mean, yeah, Ocon went from P20 to P8, but I mean, he is still in the top 5. That is just unbelievable. And my soft this is sad because I was so rooting for him to get points this week, but my soft goes to Mick Schumacher. Even if it was partially Seb's fault, still, man, it's just, it just cuts deep that he wasn't able to get those points. So he's going to get my softs award this week. Unfortunately. Sorry, Mick.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I can't disagree with that. So best and worst moment from the weekend or Grand Prix or whatever. I would say Brundle, but I don't think that was necessarily a best moment. That was more of like a misplays of the week type thing. So my best, not really going out on much of a limb here, but just the 5 to 7 laps after the safety car restart was just electric. Like I was standing, I wasn't even on the edge of my seat. I was standing up. So something just popped up, but so that's my best. It was electric. Max he's at another level right now. It's going to be hard to beat him this year. And then my worst, sort of on the similar vein as you, would be Mick. I didn't want to make him my soft just because I don't necessarily think it was his fault, but it's a fitting because he still did crash out. But yeah, it was just like we were texting back and forth, like, oh my God, Mick's up there. Like, he's going to get not just 1 point, he could get multiple points. And then just like as the race is winding down, just has that crash. So that was sad. I think him and let's see here, drivers. Yeah, only Mick and Latifi have no points this year. So yeah, man. Tough break. What were your best, worst?
My best moment is also my worst moment, the safety car, because you had Pierre and Lando crashing. Like that's got to be the worst moment, but it also brought on some of the most exciting moments of the race. So like that is just getting my not double header, but that's both of my answers is God. I'm horrible at speaking today. Best and worst, safety car.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I'll get into the standings in a sec, but just now that we've gone through pretty much all the details that we can, what are your overall thoughts on Miami's inaugural Formula One race? It's going to be here for a decade. So if you were to give it, let's go 1 to 10 with decimal points. What's your Miami Grand Prix week rating?
Gosh, out of 10, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because there was a lot of great moments. I feel like that a lot of the antics before the race sort of like helped that a little bit. I'm trying not to count that. I will say that I feel like that this has been the best GP for Formula One content. Like the amount of pictures, the amount of like photo ops, the amount of videos that we got from all the teams was just it was almost bizarre. As soon as I saw that picture of James Corden with the Papaya Boys, I was just like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like, what is going on? So yeah, I would say 7 out of 10 because the race was a pretty good race, but the safety car helped that a lot. And I did not enjoy qualifying very much. I thought it was a little bit slow, but I don't know. What about you? What are you rating it?
I'm going to give it a 7.8. I think the glitz and glamour and even the fake marina, as much as it got made fun of, like it did just have it felt very Miami, felt very America. Even having Danica Patrick on, like I think she did a good job. I don't know. It felt very American, very Miami. It felt like sort of a coming out party for F1 in the States. Because yes, COTA was huge last year, but Texas is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not American and you are, but from the outside perspective, Texas almost seems like its own country. Like they are American. They're like extremely American, but It's just like, it seems it's not everyone is wearing cowboy boots and stuff like that in America. That's not necessarily representative of America as or at least the like money side of it. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's basically its own country inside of a country.
Okay, so I was kind of trying to backtrack. I was like, was that offensive?
No, not at
Okay.
all. It's spot on.
Yeah, okay. So they might even be proud to be in that boat. But yeah, I think the glitz and glamour maybe outshone the race itself. Although I do think it was a very good race, especially for the first time on a track that was just built. But yeah, I think definitely a great introduction to F1. I think we like so much happened that we haven't even talked about that. Like Gasly met Michael Jordan, Lewis did an interview with Tom Brady.
Yeah,
like there was just so much stuff going on, like up and down the track. Like Carlos Sainz cutting his head wide open on the fence.
Dude,
there's just so much stuff that happened this week. Like all those topics could have taken up 20 minutes on any other podcast, but like there's just so much stuff that we couldn't get to. It was so, I think, yeah, content wise, unbelievable. They definitely have some work to do on the actual race and the track and whatnot, but I definitely it exceeded my expectations.
Oh yeah, I can't disagree with you because like especially with the fake marina at first, you know, you were just like, oh god, like what is this going to entail? But yeah, it was one of the most entertaining weekends by far. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'll go quickly through the drivers and constructors standings here. So
Yes.
drivers, Charles Leclerc is at 104 points. Max is second at 85. So that's 19 points behind. About 20 points behind. Perez, 66. Fourth, Russell, 59. So he's just 7 points back of third. That's crazy. Sainz is fifth, 53 points. He's just 6 back of Russell. And then there's a pretty big drop off to Lewis at 36 in sixth. Lando, 7th, 35. 8th is Bottas, 30. 9th, Ocon, 24. 10th, Kevin Magnussen, 15. 11, Danny Rick with 11. 12th, Yuki with 10. 13th, Gasly with 6. 14th, Vettel 4. 15th, Albon 3. 16th, Alonso 2. 17th, Stroll 2. 18th, Zhou Guanyu 1. And then 19, 20, and 21, Mick Schumacher, Nico Hulkenberg, and Latifi all with 0. Anything stand out there before I go to the constructors?
Kevin Magnussen still in the top 10. Fucking legend. Fucking legend. That's all. All
right. And yeah, Bottas 8th is very impressive.
Yes. God,
even
Bottas.
And even Lando in 7th. Like I know Lewis like just squeaked by him this week, but like in that car, that's pretty good. Especially Danny Rick's down at 11th, and he only has 11 points. Lando has 35, so pretty good on him.
Yeah.
And then the constructors, the top has tightened a lot. Ferrari first, 157. Second, Red Bull, 151. Third, Mercedes, 95. Fourth, McLaren, 46. So Mercedes is kind of in I forget what they call it. Like they're just kind of in no one's ahead of them. No one's like, they just have a huge gap all the way around them. Like it happens sometimes in races where they're like in no man's land.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Okay. And then 5th, Alfa Romeo, 31. 6th, Alpine, 26. 7th, AlphaTauri, 16. 8th, Haas, 15. 9th, Aston Martin, 6. And then 10th, Williams, 3.
That is, yeah. You're the gap between Red Bull and Ferrari is ridiculous. Like just
they've caught up so quick.
I know, 6 points. Yeah, I mean, it's totally possible that one of those two teams could be miles ahead by the end of the season. Like we just don't know. I think I will say I think Mercedes I think it would be a safe bet to say that they're going to stick in third because I don't see McLaren catching them. Definitely not, especially after this weekend. Just total disaster for McLaren. But and they're almost 60 points behind Red Bull. They are over 60 points behind Ferrari. So it's not looking good for them as far as the championship goes, but top 3 is still commendable, especially when you're struggling. Like you're still managing to be in the top 3 teams when you're having arguably one of the worst seasons you've had in a decade. So props to them.
I was actually surprised, to be honest, that they were like that close. Like they were in third by that much, to be honest. Like there was that big of a gap between them and McLaren. And I thought the gap would be bigger between them and Red Bull. So all in all, like as bad as things have gone, they have gotten some good results out of it.
Absolutely.
So we'll take it. We will take it and move on to I'll give a quick update on our Haas League.
Yes.
Haas Fantasy League. So obviously you had 1-2 as is happening now every week, and I'm always regretting my draft decisions here, but that's okay. So your total this week, I'm not going to go through every driver. Your total this week was 56, with Charles and Max getting almost all of your points. The rest of your guys really didn't have much performance, to be honest. So you might want to think about some secondary scoring here. My guys kind of littered the box with points, but I ended up with 46. You ended up with 56. So your gap grows. You're now at 307. I'm at 239. Adrian leads by 68 points.
Jeez, dude. I still have not done a punishment. Like, we're almost to Spain and I haven't done a punishment yet. At this point, I'm cheering for Max and Charles to safely let's have a Monza style crash. Well, I guess Lewis almost did get his head crushed that weekend. So let's say even safer than that. I want them to both DNF because we need some more people like getting a win. I want to do something.
I truly thought like this could have been the weekend where turn one, especially when I saw Max taking that move on signs. There was a brief moment where I was like, "Ooh, this could go. This could." And then I mean, Charles was already had, but there was a brief moment there where I thought maybe, but it wasn't to be. But I think my time will come. Obviously, I think Carlos Sainz will get some wins. Who do I got on my team here? Let's see.
Yeah, Carlos.
I mean, Lewis is better get one win this year. I really don't want to have to eat that bump on nickel. But I will. Then Sainz should get a win. I wouldn't be surprised if Russell got a win at some point this year, the way he's driving. And then Perez, I don't know if he'll get a win, but he's going to get a lot of second places this year. So Mick will put up some points at some point. Yuki's been decent. Alonso has been disappointing so far, and obviously Danny Rick has as well. But
yeah,
I love Danny Rick. So.
They both seem to have similar to Lewis bad luck. I know Ricardo got fucked with the qualifying. They sent him out too late, so his positioning at the start of the GP is not necessarily his fault because he wasn't able to get that second flying lap. But you can't shy away from the fact that, I mean, Ricardo's still 11th and Alonso is like 17th, 8th or 16th, 17th, something like that. Like it's
16th.
Yeah,
and
it's not
2 points.
Yeah, that's terrible. And he is almost gotten pole. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's had some terrible luck. And this is a complete off track thought. Just briefly, have you seen the rumor that Christian Horner himself had to deny?
No, I'm intrigued.
There's been rumors that they're pursuing a contract with Alonso, Red Bull.
Wow.
So much so that Christian Horner said, "We're happy with our drivers right now."
Yeah, that would make no sense.
It's such a weird, it's most likely complete bullshit, but let's say they are considering that, or even if they aren't, who thinks of this? Who's yep, Red Bull and Alonso. That is a match right there.
I know exactly who it was.
Who?
I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat here. It was Fernando Alonso that put that note. Because he wants to race on Red Bull. He wants another shot at a title before he retires. He wants to be on a team that he can guarantee to be good on. He knows he's not getting on Ferrari because they have two good young drivers.
Yep.
He thinks he's a better driver than Checo, and he's trying to take Checo's job, and I will not stand for it.
Dude, that might be the biggest just clusterfuck or mindfuck that could it's Sergio Perez dropped for 2023.
Or
Fernando Alonso
in the summer break, they do it.
Oh my God, that would be a travesty because Checo has driven really, really well this year. But I mean, rumors aside, I would love to see Alonso even in McLaren. If Ricardo retires, that would
McLaren.
I would feel bad that Danny retires.
Back there.
I don't think he would either, but I would still just love to see Fernando in a top 4 car. I think it's arguable that McLaren's the 4th car, but we'll see. But gosh, I read that, and I read Christian's response to that, and I was like, hold the fuck on. What?
Yeah, that's nuts. And he has had some bad luck this year, but yeah, he's not performing up to snuff. I'm wondering, I think he'll retire before Lewis does.
Yeah. I mean, God, but I could also see Alonso still here 8 years from now. But
with Williams. Speaking of
Yeah.
driver moves, I don't know. I mean, Latifi, bless him, he didn't crash this week, but I wouldn't be surprised, or maybe I would be surprised, but I don't know, is it out of the realm of possibility to think that Latifi could get dropped mid-season for Piastri or whoever their number one reserve driver is, or is there too much money there? Like Williams has said, they don't need to have pay drivers anymore, and like Albon is putting up really good results like in that car. So what do you think?
If Alpine is willing to let Oscar do that, I think that would be the smartest decision for them. But will they do that in the summer break? I don't know. I think it would be a smart move for them. Yeah. I think what's almost a guarantee is that Latifi won't be on the grid in 2023. It makes no sense. And his points last season were like almost flukes. Props to him for getting points, but it's just not meant to be. Williams needs another capable driver like Albon, because I mean, props to Albon. He's able to get 3 points, but they're still in the bottom by a pretty fair margin. Like, yeah, they're right behind Aston Martin, but I mean, Aston Martin still has 6 points, so that's literally double. And beyond that, it's Haas, AlphaTauri. So I know they have bigger ambitions besides 3 points. So
Absolutely.
I would be okay with it though, as long as it's. Now, I don't think they'll go with the reserve driver just because they want somebody that has like lots, like, not saying their reserve driver doesn't have experience, but they need somebody who has, the Formula One experience. And I know Piastri has just basically been getting trained by Alonso and Ocon this entire time. So it seems like a match made in heaven, but would Piastri even do that? There's so many questions, so many variables, but I would say I hope so, at least.
Yeah. Something to put a pin in.
Yep, exactly.
Now, what a segue this is going to be. I've been sitting on pins and needles here because you mentioned something about Lewis Hamilton, and give it to me. What is it?
Yes, breaking news before we wrap up today's episode.
And Lewis Hamilton, what this is.
You do not. Lewis Hamilton posted on his Instagram story. Now, I may have hyped it up to be like he's going to announce his retirement, but I think it's still really interesting. He posted this right when we started recording about an hour and a half ago. He posted a picture of himself and George Russell. He posted a picture of him in front of George, which is a little funny, but he said, reflecting on Miami, we picked up some good points for the team. And again, what an amazing drive from George Russell. Overall, it's a good sign that we're moving in the right direction. We still have some snags to sort out, but I'm confident that the team will pull through, period. They always do. So I apologize if that wasn't the biggest truth bomb, but I just thought it was really cool for him to comment and give props to George Russell. And also it gives a little sign that they're confident that they're going to keep making improvements. Yeah. So I don't know. I saw that during our quick break and I was just like, I have to read that to him. That's just awesome.
Yeah. That's definitely the most pointed comments he's made in a positive way towards Mercedes this year, because even he used the word reflection, he definitely must have had some reflection time, because he was pretty pointed to say that they weren't making as much progress as they had hoped. They weren't covering the gap like they had hoped. So I think maybe some time to look at what the numbers are, where the case may be. I'm certainly happy to hear that last part there. That gets my blood pumping a little bit. I was worried it was gonna be something bad, so happy with that. And I mean, he is very diplomatic and stuff, so whether he's actually happy for George, I don't know. It seems like he is, but I don't know, maybe that he's just saying that. But it was a great drive for George, and we'll see that. We'll see if any upgrades come in Spain. That's all I can hope for. And my ultimate hope is that Lewis has a chance at least a podium in Montreal, which is quickly coming up.
Yeah, when is that? What month?
Mid-June.
Oh my God, yeah, next month. Holy shit, that's awesome. I'm so jealous, but I'm also excited to see some of the footage that you're going to get. That's going to be amazing content. Make sure you stick around. Follow us on the socials at HarderSoft F1, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and of course we are the HarderSoft F1 podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Is there anything you want to add quickly before we sign off?
I am good. Again, I'll say it like I say every week. Still we rise. We'll be back.
Still we rise. Yes, God, we will see. Will Mercedes be able to come back next time? Yeah. What? Oh,
One
yeah.
more
Let's hear it.
Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. Yes. Let's send on this off week. We'll be back. We have lots to talk about next week, but on this off week, let's send all of our positivity and good luck to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's do it.
By next episode, we'll know if the curse has ended or the drought has ended. We'll know by next Sunday.
Dude, I hope so. I will say the other night when you told me, because I sent you a text and you didn't respond, I was like, oh yeah, he said he's watching the Leafs game. I was like, let's check the score. And it was 0-3. I was like, oh fuck. I'm like, I shouldn't have texted him. He's probably pissed. But no, yeah.
Well.
We will keep our eager eyes on that. Best of luck to that team. I would love if they're able to sort things out. And also, hopefully the Braves get another. Yeah, they don't have like a big game or series coming up, but shout out to them. But yes, thank you all so much for listening and for sticking in there. Make sure you check out all the socials, and hopefully you all enjoyed the Miami GP very much, because I know me and RJ did, and I'm so excited for Formula One to sort of get back to just a little bit of the regular normalcy at Spain. Let's see what upgrades the teams are going to bring. And yeah, we're going to get our podium predictions next week. We'll have more information on that. But yes, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.